Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go with them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'm going to go over a pretty sad story titled, "My sister's husband offed himself after she cheated. I was the one who told him." And guys, this story is coming from the perspective of the younger brother in this story. This guy is 25 years old. His sister, who's the big cheater, is 28, and the husband was 28. And long story short, this young brother here finds out from his sister that she's been cheating on her husband for quite some time. And it really hurts him because he and his sister here have always been extremely close. They had a rough childhood because both their parents were losers and scumbags and all that. And she was always there to protect him and take care of him in a bad environment. And so him finding out that his sister's capable of this is really heartbreaking. And he tries to get her to handle this in a better way. And she doesn't, so he ends up telling the husband because he feels bad. This guy should know. And you're going to see here when the husband confronts her about this whole thing, it goes really, really bad. And he ends up offing himself, which is sad. Really sad. And this young guy here now blames himself. Did I make the mistake? He'd be alive if I didn't say anything. And now the whole thing with the sister and the drama. And we're going to go over here, guys, to show you that, number one, no matter what, no matter how bad you've been hurt by someone, ending things, no matter how awful you feel, I want to take away the pain, is not the answer. And there's somebody cares. And you have to talk to someone that cares and not do it. Life is too short. Don't let somebody do that to you. And two, to show you how heartless so many gals can be. And you're going to see in this thing here how she blames him for her cheating. Typical gaslighting thing. And finally, in the end, guys, I'm going to end this thing with a question. At the end of the day, him ending his life, who's the truly responsible one for him ending his life? Him doing that, even though it's understanding he was hurt, him making the choice to do that, or her? And you'll hear all the details, and we'll go through this whole thing. So it's titled, I read that part. So it starts off, says here, I still can hardly believe any of this, despite the fact it's been a month. My sister has always been such a kind-hearted girl who it seemed would be willing to give her life for me. She protected me from our abusive addict father and negligent mother for my entire childhood. She and her husband had been married for 2 years and dating for 6. They've been friends since they were 16 years old. I couldn't have possibly seen this coming. Because clearly you didn't know who she was. Maybe she really was good to you, but everywhere else she was not so good. Last month, my sister and I met up, as we regularly did. We got drunk, and we were talking about random stuff. At some point, though, she started talking about some problems that she had. And she said she wasn't satisfied with her husband. It was somewhat gibberish because of how drunk she was, a lot more drunk than me. But when I asked what she was planning to do, she responded that she was thinking about it and has been with another guy for a bit while trying to find out what to do. So, number one, didn't he say they had an addict father, so they're just getting trashed and drunk and all this? How dumb is that? Although not surprising, that usually happens that way. But two, she's married. And 1 year into the marriage, she's already doing this. Right? And notice how oftentimes they'll always have a replacement guy. You know, instead of just communicating with the husband what the issue is and her problems and her concerns and worries, it's easy to go have an affair to feel better about herself. But we're just getting started here, how much of a scumbag she is. This was baffling to me, but I hoped beyond hope that she was just spouting out drunken BS, and decided to talk to her about the next day when we were sober before doing anything with this information. I had to know, though, because her husband was someone I became quite close with over the years. Right, he loves his sister. She's been there for him and great to him in his eyes. So he has loyalty there, and he just can't believe she'd do such a thing. And he's close with the brother-in-law, you know? The next day, I asked her about it in a very calm, and I hate to say deceitful way, to make her think she could trust me. I said I would not say anything if she told me the truth. She admitted that she's been having an affair for almost a year because she doesn't feel sexually satisfied by her husband. Hold on here. He said they were together as a relationship 6 years, then they got married. So you would think in those 6 years that guy wasn't exactly doing it for her in the bedroom department. Obviously, they wouldn't have gotten married. Unless he was a good provider. Unless he had good resources to give her that life, and she could roll in the hay with Chad and Tyrone all she wanted. That wouldn't be the first time in history that this has happened, unfortunately. To make matters worse, She hadn't even told her affair partner that she was married, so he believed he was doing it with a single woman and was doing nothing wrong. So she's a double scumbag here. This affair partner, hers, can think, hey, I got a girlfriend, she's great, wonderful, fall in love with her, and then guess what, she's married. And what if husband found out about this and went after that guy? I was stunned, so I asked why didn't she just talk with him? And she bluntly said she doesn't think it can be talked through and that she loves him romantically but isn't S-word satisfy him and thinks having an affair while being with him is the right choice. Talk about what a load of crap justifying it. What a self-centered a-hole, but there's a lot of this. So she says here she loves him romantically. Yeah, I can tell by your actions. No, you don't love him romantically. You may love him in your own warped mind as a friend because you can provide. Now maybe like later in life, maybe he developed ED. Erectile dysfunction, in his late 20s. I don't know. Maybe he was good in the sack before. I doubt it. At least not enough for her. And developed that later in life. I don't know, but they can work on it together. There's things that can be done. She truly loved him romantically, like she claims. She could have, they would have worked together. Well, no. I think all along she's been having a fling. This is who she is. I tried to give her a chance to back off by telling her that she needed to immediately cut contact with her partner and try to work things out, but she refused. Okay. Super scumbag. Unknown to her, I'd hidden my phone in my jacket and been recording the entire conversation just in case. And I'd been lying to her when I said I would never say anything. I debated with myself heavily on what to do, but I felt I was morally obligated to tell him. He deserves to know. But you can see the predicament this young guy's in. This is his sister. She was always there for him and all that. Maybe she was on the outside great to him, at least on the outside, but I don't think that she just suddenly became like this overnight. I think this is who she's always been, but just maybe for her brother, she was good to him. He had always treated me like his own little brother since almost as soon as we met. And since she refused my advice, I felt I had given her a chance and she wasted it. So 3 days later, I met up with him and played the recording. I tried to console him. I planned out what to say, but he ran off before I could. I felt I should give him the time and let him. I know this was a mistake looking back, and I will never forgive myself for that. Bro, some people might say you betrayed your sister. I think she betrayed you. She betrayed him, and this guy had a right to know. And what he did in this situation is not your fault, okay? A few hours later, he talked to my sister about it. And she then blamed him, guilt-tripped him for being not good enough. He then took some things, including their gun and a notebook, and drove off. Despite him taking the weapon, my sister did nothing to attempt to stop him. There you go. Number one, she twisted out, made him to be the bad guy for this, and it's your fault I'm cheating. It's horrible. And then to make matters worse, he was leaving. She knew he was taking their weapon. I gotta watch what I say here. And driving away in a very emotional, frantic state. And you can't blame him for being in an emotional, frantic state. She has some knowledge, something going on. If she cared about him, she would have stopped him. And she would have called the cops something. So this, in my opinion, is a major, major strike against her. He was later found dead in his car a few miles away. This poor guy. He made the choice to do this, yes, and that was on him. However, she had knowledge this could happen, did nothing about it. Why? Because I think on some level she's thinking, well, fine, I'll get rid of him. That's what I think. This is, guys, no matter how bad it gets, don't end yourself. He offed himself in the head. He wrote in the notebook about his confrontation with my sister and how he had felt he had nothing left. That he felt that now everyone who claimed to love him was lying and using him. There were signs of her gaslighting may have even worked somewhat as he started questioning whether she was right and he was wrong. That he wasn't good enough and it was all his fault. There was a lot written in there, but I can't fit it in this post, so I'm only putting what's most relevant. What a bitch. First she's cheating on him for a whole year, lying to the other guy, and claiming she loves him so much romantically, but not in the bedroom department, and does this, and then he confronts her and blames him. It makes him feel awful, and then knowingly knows he goes out with a weapon. She's a piece of garbage. Now listen to this. After this, everything went to hell. She has come out and cried about how she didn't mean for this to happen. Well, maybe she didn't mean for it to happen, but regardless, still look what she did. And she knew he left with a weapon. and her gaslighting and cheating. She's a piece of shit. But her husband's family, most of our family, and most of their friends have abandoned her. I would too. Her affair partner learned and immediately dumped her, apparently calling her a subhuman cunt. He reached out and apologized to me and the family of my sister's husband and showed texts from her that proved that he had been told she was single. That takes some serious integrity from him, because in a moment like this, when everybody's emotional and everything like that, it could have ended bad. So that took balls. I respect that from that guy. I forgave him, and we have talked a few times to cope with the trauma of the situation. He is feeling immense guilt and trauma as well. Maybe we will become friends. Maybe we're just partners in trauma for the short term. I don't know. She's basically alone. She tried to reach me, admitting she was wrong and asking me to mend things for her, or mend things with her. Yeah, you're damn right you were wrong. Now, is she sorry because what happened? Or because what potentially she could, be brought up on charges or have somebody come after her? I don't know. I'm not an attorney. I'm not in law enforcement, so I don't know with regards to her knowing that he left. Any cops out there, lawyers, please let me know. Maybe it depends state to state. With her knowing that him in that state and leaving with a weapon and all that, does that cause her to be responsible? So any of you cops out there, law enforcement, attorneys, let's hear it in the comment section, and we can all debate back and forth on that. This is difficult for me because she truly does love me. As I mentioned, she protected me through our entire childhood, and I'm normally a forgiving person. I even forgive my abusive father, who caused me so much pain, when he was able to convince me his remorse was genuine, and he worked hard to make it up to me. And I would forgive my mother if she reached out to me and gave a genuine apology, as well as made a real attempt to make things right. But this feels so different. My father was, at the very least, a depressed and mentally broken addict. He acknowledged that he wasn't meant to be a father and that nothing was ever mine or my sister's fault. Well, that says a lot about this guy's old man. Even at his worst, he never tried to gaslight us and think it was our fault how he treated us. Nothing was really mentally wrong with my sister to serve as even a slight mitigating factor. She did not struggle mentally before this and has no diagnosed mental illness or disabilities. I would know because we basically told each other everything. Well, I guarantee you, she may try to use something now. And more importantly, my father never offed or got anyone offed. If she had immediately apologized to him and admitted fault as soon as he confronted her and stopped him when he attempted to leave with a weapon, I would have forgiven her, but she did not. Right. If she did this and he left, but she did not know he ran off with a weapon, that would make her an awful human being. But knowing that he was doing that with the weapon, she blamed him and let him leave with a weapon without attempting to stop him, despite knowing what he would probably do. Had she handled it better, instead of gaslighting and shaming him, he might be alive. And frankly, my mind is clouded so much that my normal sense to detect whether someone is generally sorry or not is just not functioning properly. I never felt such a deep anger towards someone. Can I really forgive her? She's my big sister who's done so much for me. She's one of my most beloved people in the world. But it just feels like it's too much for me to even forgive her, even her. A man is dead, a man I care for a lot. Even if she didn't pull the you-know-what, it doesn't feel that much better than if she did. If it were up to me, she'd frankly be charged with something. Can I even forgive myself? If I haven't told him, he would be alive. If I had stopped him before he could run off, after I told him, he would be alive. I may not be the one responsible, but I could have stopped if I actually acted differently. My mind is a complete mess, and I don't know what to do. Good Lord, this poor guy. Well, so that is the end of this thing. We're all going to go into debate mode now, and I can only imagine the comments. But number one, in my opinion, it is not this guy's fault. The brother-in-law had to know. And this young guy here really tried to talk to his sister, and she was just so, it's all about me, and he's the bad guy, and I'm not going to apologize for cheating, and blah, 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 blah. And it goes to even show she was having the affair with the guy, didn't tell him that she was married. This young guy did what was right, and he can't blame himself, although it's understandable that he blames himself. And the brother-in-law, this poor guy, but I think that the brother-in-law who ended his life had a lot of other things going on, really, to just so drastically take the weapon and go off and do that. And as I said before, guys, I don't care how bad it is. If you're feeling so lost, so alone, so desperate, there's somebody that has to care. Get help. It's not worth it. If you're at that point, guys, depression runs in my family, okay? And my mom had it, my grandfather had it. My mom has it, my mom's alive. I have it. Believe me, I have times in my life when I felt so low. Sometimes I thought about offing myself. I never revealed it before, but it's the truth. And depression can just incapacitate you and you feel like you'll never be better. Get help. I've learned now how to recognize that. I mean, I'm almost 46. I stopped letting that stuff destroy me 20-some years ago and recognized the signs. But you can't end yourself. But this guy, at the end of the day, as horrible as it is, he is the one that made the choice to go do that. However, the sister knew. She knew in that emotional, broken state, and she obviously known him for 8 years, what he's like, saw him leave with that weapon. You know, either he do something to himself or to somebody else and did nothing about it. And that, in my opinion, makes her guilty. Now, it might depend where you live, what state you're in terms of the laws. And that's why I'm curious what any of you police officers or law enforcement guys or lawyers can tell me about that. So guys, let's hear it in the comment section. What do you think she's guilty of something? Really, beyond just guilty of being a piece of crap, but actually with regards to this guy ending his life. I'd like to hear your opinions about that. So please, law enforcement, lawyers, type away. I really want to know. And all you other guys, I want to hear your opinions on this one, because I'm sure it does depend on state to state. But this is such a terrible situation. So again, guys, in this horrible story, things ever get so bad. And I'm sure there's somebody watching this right now that really is down in the dumps about their lives. Maybe even contemplate it once or twice, but ending things. Don't do it. You can turn things around. Somebody cares. Now let's use this story to really address that particular issue. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Again, comment away. I really want to hear your opinions on this. And guys, also, if you come across a good story like me to cover, email me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just give me some time to get to it, and I definitely will when I get the chance, if it definitely works for the channel. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.